Well, we've been back to back on a couple of the vehicles lately. Had my dad's car in here, had Everest's car in here for a few days, fixing a bunch of stuff. Now I guess it's time to bring the old daily driver back in. We use this thing like every single day, at least a couple of times a day. And today I went down and used it for a minute, and it's got a weird sound in it. So, and it's due for a service, so I guess it's going to come in prematurely. I wasn't planning on bringing it in for another couple of weeks, but there's a sound going on in there that I don't trust. I haven't got into it yet. It's either on the belt for the alternator or it's the belt for the drive. Something in there's making a tick, tick, tick. So I just thought I'd take a minute, pull all the storage bays out from under the seats. That way I can get in under there and wash out anything that's accumulated, clearing it out good, get it all clean and rinsed off. Park it here on the concrete in front for a few hours and let it kind of drip, hour or two, and then I'll bring it in and start tearing into it to see what's going on. Everything's got to have its turn in the shop, so afraid we're going to be cycling vehicles in and out of here for the next couple of weeks. We'll see. Sounds like it's coming from the drive belt. I can hear it ticking in there while it's sitting here at an idle and in park. And it sounds like it's coming on that housing. My guess is maybe the belt's starting to come apart. So we'll get it in and see. I did notice a couple weeks ago that if we started out in high range, you could feel it kind of like jump and lurch a little bit, like there was a bad spot on the belt that maybe it burned or something, causing it to lope. And it sounds like maybe it's that. So hopefully it's just that, and not, primary coming apart or anything like that. But I got into this buggy and found that my suspicions was correct. The belt is at it. Belt's seen better days. It's all chewed up on there, and the tic-tac that I was hearing is this little tassel of belt thumping around inside there when it was idling. I only put this belt on, I think 2 years ago, and it's one of these Gates G-Force ones. And I heard all kinds of really good things versus the Polaris factory belt, and about how much better that Gates belt is than the Polaris belt. And I'm just not terribly impressed. I mean, yeah, we use this thing every day. Maybe I'm abusing the belt. Maybe I should be in low range at times when I'm in high range. I don't know. Something like that, I'm sure, is not just a direct wear and tear of that belt. I'm sure it's some of my use probably, but I decided to go back with a Polaris belt this time. My local shop didn't have it. They could get it, but it was gonna be a week out. So I was able to order it on Amazon and have it in 2 days. But anyway, we're gonna put that guy back on, see how that does. We got new filters in there, fuel filter up under there, new oil filter, new oil, and I pulled this valve cover off and got it resealed. It was kind of starting to seep and weep here. So when it was warm, that you could smell the oil kind of running down the front of the engine there. So that's all been resealed. I got my light bar connected and the wire routed, but the switch I had wasn't a very good switch for this. The switch I have is a 2-position switch, which is just way extra for what I need. I don't need that much. So I went in and got a new switch, just a rocker panel switch that's similar to these. So I'm gonna put that in, but just to kind of show you the difference of, I know it's in the shop, and so it's not like dramatic, but there's the regular, and then high beams, and then if I still have that hooked up right, quite an extra flood on there. So I don't know, it's kind of funny because when we first got this buggy and we did some fixing on it, the reverse was out, it needed some work, and we did some work to it. I had this front bumper off, and while I had it off, I happened to have this light bar. I had purchased it on clearance and like really cheap, and I thought, oh, I'll just mount that sucker on here, but I couldn't find any good placements for it, so I ended up like welding the mount bracket right to the bumper and then repainting the bumper. So I mounted the light bar, and we've been driving around with that thing on here for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, and I've never had it connected. It's just never been the priority to make sure that that thing gets wired up and connected. But as we go coming into winter and we go up to do the animal chores, that extra light shining in the corral will make a lot of improvement in what we can see and do. I think I'm just gonna kind of head down and go for it. Like I said, I've got all the fluid back in, everything done on the service, and that's really all that I was worried about. Just trying to make sure the service got done, fix the weird sound in the oil leak, and take a minute to wire up this light bar. So that's probably all the work that this thing's gonna get for now. There's some things I might want to do to it at some point down the road, but it's got to go back to work. I always try to write on my filters when I put them in, even the spin-on ones or whatever. I just write the hours and the date that I did it. Just to help keep track. It's a lot easier to just look on the filter and go, oh gosh, that's been a year, I need to do that. 100 hours, whatever the interval is, I can keep track of it a lot easier. Okay. Now the tricky puzzle. It's always mattered, like, when it comes out one way. I never remember which way until you get into it. Up first, back in was easier than out. I find with these things, it's always better if we can get all the bolts. If I can get all the bolts in and started before I snug everything up. That way I can make sure that it seats properly. Okay, now, that part's good. I took out my little air filter bolts here because I was thinking I was going to have to take that off to get that cover to clear. But I didn't need to in the end. I just needed to get everything positioned right. Yes. So pull that back up. All right. That has got all of that back together. Engine oil is full. Should be all set here. Let's put together the front dash. Got my show you the switch, and it's a little different than these switches, but it's like the right size and body and everything like that. And it's actually got the same prongs on the back as the factory plug. Which I didn't necessarily expect when I went and picked it up. I just was picking up a generic, like, flat panel rocker switch. But you can see, maybe, should have probably showed it to you before I put it in here. Right there, it uses, this came with a cargo light switch wiring and the overhead light, but all that comes up to this pigtail set right here. So you would plug in for the dome light or plug in for a cargo light that goes off on the back. And I don't want any of that. I did use that factory plug in some of the wiring for that flat panel switch. So now that's keyed power, so it won't come on without key on. So that I can't leave it on and run the battery dead. The size is how little there is in these things. A couple tabs on this thing that just hook. Got the right side. All there is to that, these two bolts go in here, which I don't understand. Therefore, big old bolts with some spacers. I'm sure it's some kind of option. That, and then there's two push pins. Chopped out the coolant while I was there. Got my wire all tied back and harness all set. So, yes. Guess that's it. I guess we'll start it and run it for a second. You can check the fluids. The fuel filter body has a little bleed screw on the top. We already bled that. It should be in good shape. Hopefully, everything just cranks and fires. This thing's got a lot of hours, and I think it got dusted a little bit before we bought it. think that's pointed up a little bit high. So, just going to adjust it down for now. A little bit. And then I'll look at it tonight when I go do chores. Yeah, it's lower now. Cool. One more thing down. Keep on going with the rest, I guess.